right knee down, and I'm stepping my left foot forward, trying to have a vertical shin here. So you don't want your knee coming too far forward. I'd rather have your heel farther out than too close in. So here, you can stick your butt back and then tuck your pelvis. Stick your butt back and then tuck your pelvis. I really want you to focus on tucking your pelvis. And then we can thrust our ribs forward and we can drop our ribs back. Thrust the ribs forward and drop back. So I really want you to think of the bottom edge of your ribs going back and your pelvis tucking. And this is opening up this is opening up your psoas. So your hip flexors, people might call them. And you're just gonna breathe into the whole front. You may feel it in a lot of different ways, depending on how tight your psoas is. Try to head ramp while we're here, lifting through the crown of your head, bringing your chin in, and breathing into this. And then switching sides. So I'm gonna step my left foot forward. And then again, practice sticking your butt back and forward and back and forward. So we're really tucking the pelvis, lifting those ribs up and back, really trying to keep your ribs into your abdomen. They kind of sink in and they're not kind of poking out and forward. And then once you're here, you can try to lift tall through the crown of your head and breathe into this opening. Okay, so now we're gonna come up and down from this lunge. If you have a bolster, some blocks, some pillows, you may want to put one under this back knee, or two or three. This is going to make it a little bit easier for you. I'm gonna switch legs. So you're tucking your toes under on the back foot, and then this foot is forward. So I'm essentially bringing the floor higher for me. And we're going to press into the heel of the front foot and the ball of the back foot to come up and down. So that is not a lot of travel. So I'm gonna pull these out, but if you need a couple blocks or one block, go ahead and add them. What we're trying to do here is keeping we're pressing our back up against a wall and we're coming up and down. Try to do 5 of these, try to do 3 of these, try to do 10 of these. Whatever is a good number for you. And our weight, you should be feeling this back quad is working because you're really keeping your weight back against this wall. We're trying to not be moving our torso as we're coming up and down. We're trying to really be straight up and down. And then switch to the other side. So my back toes are tucked, pressing into the heel of the front foot and the ball of the back. And I'm just trying to come up and down. Okay, now we're gonna do a quad stretch. So there's multiple different ways you can do this. You could come back into this position and reach for your heel or your foot. Or you can stand here at the wall and grab here. If you're standing, you want to make sure that these knees are not separated. You want the knees to be together, and you don't want this knee to be forward. You want it to be pulled back. If you're down here in the lunge, we're trying to not be leaning forward like this if we're in this position. I really want you to work on tucking your pelvis under instead of sticking the butt back. You're really trying to tuck the pelvis forward as you hold this stretch. Maybe one time you can do it standing and one time you can do it down in the lunge position. But you're really, the moment I kind of let my butt stick back, I lose the stretch in my quad. So I'm actively trying to press my pubic bone forward as I try to bring my heel towards my hip. And then switch to the other side. Tucking your pelvis. Pubic bone is pressing forward and breathing into this quad stretch. Tight, tight quads is pulling on our knees. One of the quads goes over and attaches, oh, what am I trying to say? Forget it. I'm not going to say it correctly. So your butt sticks back, your butt tucks under, and your heel is working towards your hip. Okay, back to that first lunge. So we're just holding the lunge here. We're tucking the pelvis under, dropping the ribs, and reaching, tucking the chin in and reaching the back of your neck long. And just breathing into this opening in your quad or your psoas. And then switch to the other side. Tucking the pelvis, dropping the ribs, and then making head ramping. Okay, back to my first side. I have the heel, my toes are tucked under on the back foot. I'm pressing down into the heel. If you need to add a little bit of height under your knee, you can put a pillow or blankets under your knee to help make this a little bit easier. We're gonna press into the ball of the back foot, coming straight up and down. Try for 5 times. Try for 10 times. And then switch sides. Tucking the toes under in the back, pressing into the heel of the front foot and the ball of the back foot. And try to come up and down, keeping your weight back. I'm going to do the standing quad stretch this time. You do whichever one you want, but I'm trying to work my knee back and my knee in. Holding onto the wall is perfectly fine. You're really working on keeping that pelvis tucked. Because if I stick my butt back, it lessens the stretch in my quad. And then switch sides.